What's up, fellow film buffs? Hey, this is Chris on the mic. Welcome to my podcast where I'll be discussing the latest entertainment news in film, ranging from the highly popular to big budget films, all the way to the underappreciated and underrated films that I feel personally that don't get enough props and respect that they clearly deserve. Now, while at it, I will also hope to spark a healthy debate amongst everybody in the comment section and give listeners a chance to battle it out freely if they would like, whether it be against me or amongst each other. And while this podcast is called Chris on the Mic, of course, I encourage all listeners to express themselves amongst their own respective mics, for we all have a voice and we all need to be heard. Now that the time for introductions is over, let's rock the mic and get down with the first podcast review. Mad Max, where you at, man?
You want to get through this?
You done this before?
Many times.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Yes, ladies and gents, welcome to Chris on the Mic, and this is Chris on the Mic's review of Mad Max Fury Road. It's just been released this Friday, May 15th, and I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a movie to be missed. You have to go see it. It is the best action movie this year, without a doubt, hands down. I'm telling you the truth on the real. Listen, I mean, if you want to talk about an action film that actually takes the essence of what it means to be high octane, a straight adrenaline rush, but still having the emotional impact that have you invested within his characters, then Mad Max Fury Road is the film for you. Directed by George Miller, the original director of the Mad Max films back in the late 70s and early 80s. This guy comes back at the age of 70 and kills it. I'm telling you, he does a phenomenal job proving once again that age is nothing but a number. As long as you have your imagination, your heart into it, you create something monumental, and that's exactly what he did. This guy just took the world that he created with the original Mad Max and Mel Gibson and just expounded upon it, just turned it into something even more magical than when I remember when I watched it when I was younger. So watching this movie, and he got the perfect actor to portray him in Tom Hardy, who's once again proving he's a top 10 actor regardless, in fact top 5. And he also has a top 5 actress in there with Charlize Theron, who plays Furiosa, who's badass and probably I think even deserves her own little spinoff if possible, because she did an incredible job in that role. And for those who are not into the Mad Max lore, Mad Max is just basically a post-apocalyptic movie about a survivor named Max who earlier in the original Mad Max movies lost his daughter and his wife. And after he lost his daughter and his wife, he just goes on this mean loner, journey. After he gets revenge on the people responsible, he goes on this journey of just going to these desolate places and just finds himself in these situations. And now you live in a post-apocalyptic world where gasoline is the number one currency, along with water and food, and all that stuff is basically scarce. So you find yourself with this guy Max who's just finding himself just drifting from area to area along this wasteland. And it's a high octane opera is the best way to describe this movie. George Miller created an opera with just cars and desert. That's it. I mean, the plot of this movie is basically, Max and Furiosa have to get from point A to point B and back to point A. That's it. And it's a full-on race where the bad guys, by a guy named, Immortan Joe, King Immortan Joe, this bad guy who originally is played by Toe Cutter. If you remember the original Mad Max films, all my Mad Max fanatics out there, Toe Cutter is the same guy that portrayed him. His name slips my mind. But, he also is playing King Immortan Joe. And I just think that's a real cool way, George Miller brought back some people from the old movies, but still keeping an essence. This guy just totally, he didn't abandon what worked with the original Mad Max movies, especially the second one, Road Warrior. And he just kept it going, and he just basically updated it and, input, input a little bit of more relevance with the current generation, the era, that you really don't need to see the original Mad Maxes to really fall in love with this one. If you love the original Mad Maxes, then this is a great movie for you, because at the end of the day, you're going to already be invested into this character. And quite frankly, I think that this movie just, even exceeds those of the original Mad Max, especially Road Warrior, which was originally my favorite. The cinematography is amazing in this film. You're going to love it. I mean, yeah, it's only sand and it's only cars, but everything is just well shot, and everything is just very well presented in this film. Nothing feels fake. Nothing feels overly CGI. There's very little CGI. In fact, the main CGI part in this movie is that part in the trailer where you see the sandstorm. Outside of that, you're going to find very little CGI. George Miller did what I love with my action films. He inputted practical effects. He expounded upon that. Practical effects is the way to go when you really want to make a gritty, high-octane action film. Everything looks like it hurts. This world looks like it's real. It looks grimy. It looks, desolate. It makes you feel like it's a post-apocalyptic world. And it's such a way that he incorporates the car. I mean, when you go see this, if you're looking for Citizen Kane or type movie, or a very intricate type movie where there's a lot of dialogue, this is not the movie for you. You're gonna need to understand that this movie has very little dialogue. I mean, quite frankly, I think that Max, Tom Hardy's character, only has maybe 2 pages of dialogue. Furiosa, while she has more dialogue, who's played by Charlize Theron, she has more dialogue than Max, but she doesn't have much. There's very little dialogue in this film. A lot of the dialogue actually is within the gestures, the facial expressions, is within that aspect that you really get a feel for these characters and these actors and actresses. The whole cast portrays that perfectly, and that's why this movie, I felt like it's an action, high octane, adrenaline rush opera. George Miller created the modern day action film opera, and it's beautiful, it's amazing, it's astounding, and I just walked out of the film just amazed by what I just saw. I was like, this is the best film so far this year, and clearly the best action film I've seen probably in the past decade. And with the ratings that we do on Chris on the Mic, it rates, I go from ratings from trash to whack to aight to cool to awesome and to GOAT material. And GOAT, for those who know it, is greatest of all time material. And ladies and gents, this movie is GOAT. It's GOAT material. This is one of the greatest action movies of all time. George Miller clearly just took what he loved with his original films, came back at the age of 70 and reinvented them for a whole new generation. I think this film is even going to surpass how... I'm just totally saying, if you're a film buff, an action film buff, this is the perfect film for you. This is the film you need to see. And even if you're not an action film buff, if you're just looking for a good time in the theater, this is the movie to go to. I mean, I know it's rated R, and I think that might hinder it a little at the box office, but truly this movie deserves so much, and I really do hope that you guys get out there, you guys support this movie, Mad Max Fury Road, one of the best movies I've seen this year so far. Shout out to everybody involved in this movie. George Miller, all the actors was great and the actresses were great in this movie. It's very little things I can say bad about this movie, but when my spoiler review comes, we can get into the nitpicks and stuff like that, but there's very few. Just support it if you can. Just really try to get the word out there, make sure that people who are looking for a good time or looking for a great film to see, that Mad Max is the film that they see. And if you have any comments, feel free to comment below. Feel free to subscribe. I want to hear your opinions. If you dislike Mad Max, tell me why you disliked it. We can have a little debate in the comic section. If you like Mad Max, then tell me why you do like it. Maybe I missed something in this review. And hope you'll keep a lookout for the spoiler review coming up soon. And just keep tuned in on Chris on the Mic. Don't forget that you have a mic of your own. Get your voice out there, be heard. Everybody deserves to be heard. And keep watching film, man. Keep your imagination open. God bless. 1.